Okay, let's run.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it.
It's a quest. It's a quest for fun.
Well, The Rock says, why don't we just cut right to the chase?
Okay, now he wants to get together. Well, he wants to talk.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
It's showtime, folks!
What are you?
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to And I Quote, a weekly show where we introduce you to creators from all over the world and we find out more about them by taking your questions. I am your host, Ryan of And I Quote channel, and our guest on this episode is someone who is definitely going to stick out like a sore thumb in the best way possible. Why? Because he's an indie comic creator / writer of a series called Oldsmobiles With Laser Guns, something like that. Goodness gracious, who'd have thunk that a car like that would be able to possess such weaponry? But please welcome Mike Moman to the stage. Mike, and welcome in. How are you today, good sir?
Brian, I'm doing absolutely terrible. I couldn't be more than smiles.
That's one way of going about it.
No, I'm great. I'm fantastic.
Well, we're happy to have you here, Mike. Now, if you have any questions for Mike during the course of this episode, please let us know in those comments or the chat, and we will be monitoring those as we go throughout the course of this program. And if this is your first time here, welcome. Don't forget to like and share this with everybody you know. And if you're joining us live for what is known as a replay, we appreciate you for doing that. With that piece of business out of the way, Mike, how were you introduced to the world of comics specifically? Or when?
No. It was just the wording. I didn't think about you being introduced to comics so much as, when you grow up, you have comics around you because you're a kid. Man, from as simple as my mom buying me the Archie comics in the grocery store, because, I loved that as a kid. All my friends were huge comic fanatics, so of course I had to be as well. I had no choice in the matter, but my selection and what I chose to like was different from them. They were into superheroes, and I found more comfort in the Punisher. And not for the violence, but for the fact that I viewed Frank Castle as being a normal, real human who just used the skills that he had to do the things that he did, and I respected that. Then even out of Punisher, my favorite comic series from that was Armory, where it was really him reflecting on his time in the war, the weapons he used, the tools he used, and sometimes had some antidotes in there. And I found a lot of realism in gobbling that up as a kid. Now, this is kind of unique for me that right behind me there, the Hardboiled Detective series, that was a comic that I found, I guess it's a trade paperback graphic novel. I found that probably 10 or 11, maybe 12 years old. And if you know Burns' work, you know that a kid that age should not be reading his work. But I loved it. I loved the narrative, everything that was in it. I loved the art, even, looking past the nudity in there. I simply loved the simplicity, the more indie raw feel. So I fell in love with independent comics at such a young age. My father found it. It told me that, and I quote, "This is not necessary." He threw it out. And I had to find an old used copy to get one of those original prints, which I now have proudly on display as a reminder to myself to love what you love. And so that's that comic right there, that graphic novel.
Yes, splendid stuff. Splendid stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now that they've re-released it in hardcover and you can find all these Burns works in the libraries, I love that. So more people are going to be introduced to his work if they haven't been before. And that love for indie comics expanded, and I fell in love with Heavy Metal magazine while everyone else was reading Marvel and DC. I thought Heavy Metal was where it's at. Again, of course I'm a kid and I love the TNA that's there, but really it was the fact that these stories were so much different. So I got the inspiration from Mobius and from the Droana series, and looking past the sexuality and enjoying the art was so enlightening to me, because this was no longer those simple panels that are just, splashes of flash and light with the character. Instead, they're full drawn out worlds that are absolutely intricate and beautiful, that probably took them ages to draw. The European comics, the French comics, were just chef's kiss, like literally. And that's really where I drew a lot of my inspiration and love for comics, was from this appreciation of the art, less than the push everything out every month comics that we were getting.
Wow, that's really fascinating stuff. What would you say are some of your favorite comic book writers or artists, past or present?
Okay, I got to give love for Kirby, but because if you don't even say that, are you even a comic artist? Right? No, you got to do the homage there. Eastman and Laird, the original TMNT series, was the first superhero comic that I picked up. Of course, an indie one. I was introduced to that kind of backwards, because I was introduced to that with the Palladium role-playing game, where I found out about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles while the cartoon was coming out. The cartoon was great, and I love the 90s cartoon, but the black and white art, oh my gosh, was that beautiful? Was that violent? Was that raw? It was great, and that pulled me into the original TMNT comic book series. And even though the two had the different ways they wanted to do it, I think that would have been the most notable, quotable as a young kid. The kind of art and comics that I loved. That's actually what drew me into Burns as well. When I saw that, I'm like, hey, this is like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, only for a different audience. So yeah, I think those are going to be the keynote speakers in my love for comics.
Absolutely nothing wrong with that. I'm actually going to be meeting Kevin Eastman later in 2025 in April at a convention called AwesomeCon in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital here in America. So looking forward to meeting Kevin Eastman. And they're also going to be having a cast reunion of the original 1990s live-action film, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. All the cast members are going to be there. So
yeah, I saw some pictures about that.
I'm pretty excited, to be perfectly honest with you, because like many of us, grew up watching the movie and the animated series, whether it's the reruns or the original series when it first ran. And the other thing was, years and years later, I went back and read the comics of TMNT, because I saw TMNT, the property, in reverse. I saw it as a movie, and then I saw it as the animated property, because that's what us 80s/90s kids were all about. And then when I finally went to a magical world called a comic book store, for those of you who are unfamiliar with that place, it's wonderful. You should visit your LCS, which stands for local comic shop. Please do so. I went there and I bought Volume 1 trade paperback. It was the remastered colored version of the original comics. But at the same time, I still wanted to read it. I wanted to get an idea of where this property originally came from. And I read it and I'm like, oh my gosh, the movie is pretty much spot for spot, right on, like a really good adaptation. The movie is of the original first 4 or 5 issues of the comics from Eastman and Laird. So well done, Hollywood. Well done. That's a rarity. That doesn't happen very often. But it's great. But just out of curiosity, though, how many times?
I don't remember them going into outer space.
Well, I mean, still, I digress. How many times have you seen the movie 1990s TMNT? How many times have you seen it?
Oh, the OG?
Yeah, I'm talking about the OG. How many times have you watched that?
I saw it in theater when it first was released, and then probably. Awesome. Oh gosh.
What are we looking at here? What do you think?
If I said less than 24 times in my lifetime, I'd probably be lying. So it had to have been, maybe a dozen before it started becoming on replay on cable television. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I loved it. The actor for Casey Jones was the pinnacle of cool factor for music.
Elias Codius was his name. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, no, the portrayal of that character, maybe a little bit. I liked it. I loved it. I thought, and then the depiction of Raphael as the hothead that wasn't shown in the cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, love that. Him going off to see a movie alone was like, that is
Critters.
so
It was
Raphael.
Critters. Yeah, it was
It was
Critters.
Critters, and he was like laughing at it,
Where
how
do they come
fake
up
it
with this
was.
stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And here's a turtle walking out of a movie theater with a trench coat and a fedora, trying to look like Humphrey Bogart of all people.
Right, absolutely. So that movie a bajillion times, and then it got a little bit of disappointment with Secret of the Ooze. But
I still love it as a '90s kid, but I can understand people's not liking it as much as that, because nothing's going to hold a candle to the original. We all know this.
Yeah, no, you. And then it just kind of with the live action, but and then their stage performances, rock stars with that Pizza Hut trope.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, with the suits.
Coming out of their shell was just a great
Didn't
album.
look as good. Yeah, it didn't look as good as some of the other iterations of the Turtles. Let's be perfectly honest. But yeah, no, dude, that's great stuff. So I'm looking forward to meeting for the very first time Kevin Eastman. I'm going to have him sign my IDW remastered Turtles trade paperback. Going to have him sign it. That's going to be definitely worth it.
That'd be cool.
I actually have a Funko Pop of Raphael signed by Kevin Eastman from the Signature.
That's cool.
Yeah, and he did a remark on it too. So
that's cool.
Nice. It's very nice. It's very, very nice. It's a good thing to have in my collection because I am a big TMNT fan. I'll be perfectly honest. Love the movies. Enjoyed the animated series. I don't like the animated series now that I'm an adult and I look back on how cheesy it was. And I'm not just talking about the pizza that was featured in that show. That 80s series is very cheesy and OTT, but there is a bit of nostalgia there, just a little bit. But the live action 1990s is a masterpiece of filmmaking, in my opinion. But But yeah, all good stuff. Looking forward to seeing the cast and Kevin Eastman at AwesomeCon in Washington, D.C., which I believe is April 4th through the 6th of 2025. So make sure you check your what is it called? The website, awesome-con.com. Buy your tickets, get ready, because it's going to be one turtle-rific week. Or should we say Bossa Nova? Huh? What?
Chevy Nova.
A Chevy Nova? No.
Excellent.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm sorry. I can quote this movie all day, all night, 24/7. I've seen it hundreds of thousands of times on VHS, on DVD, and I love it to pieces, and nothing can take that away from me. So with that being said, what are some of your, outside of TMNT, because we can go on and on and on and on about our love of Eastman and Laird's masterpiece known as TMNT. Let's not get things too confused here. What are some of your favorite comic book based movies or TV series outside of TMNT?
Oh gosh,
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping you wouldn't ask me this one. Yeah, no. Outside of TMNT for comic book movies, movies and TV. Lock and Key, I thought was done, even though they really did deviate from the comics. I thought it was done really well because there were some things about the comic. This is almost like reverse to what we were talking about with TMNT, where the 90s cartoon had some cheesiness, and I felt when I would switch, because the story for Lock and Key was so great, but then when I watched the show, what the writers had done with the adaptation was kind of took away all the cheesiness in the comic that I didn't realize was actually there. So when I went and revisited the comics, I was like, oh, well, yeah, this is kind of not so cool. And their adaptation, how they changed things, I thought it was just so good. So I think anyone that hasn't seen that series on streaming should do themselves a favor. So I thought that was really good, and maybe it didn't get as much attention as it should have. I know it was a little bit popular for this time, but I thought it was great. Movies. Gee.
A bit of a tough one. Should I play the Jeopardy theme song during this question? Good
Lord. Going back, the Guyver series, even though this is going with manga, I think the Guyver series was really that pinnacle moment with where the movies that they came out with that were kind of terrible in a sense, but really good for what the technology they had at the time. I enjoyed those so much. That was the first thing that really drew me into looking into manga for the first time as a kid. I guess teenager for that matter. So I can think back to that, and those are some treasured moments I have of first watching those movies and saying, "This is so cool. Where did this unique and cool story come from?" And then realizing that this was all manga. And I'm gonna maybe say those are some of the key things that kind of stand out in my mind.
Okay, fair enough.
But being a Punisher fan,
Yeah.
the Dolph Lundgren Punisher movie I probably watched a bajillion and one times. No matter how terrible it was still pretty darn good.
Any love for the Thomas Jane iteration from 2004? I believe it was. Was it 2004? It may have been 2004. Yeah, Thomas Jane. No love for Thomas Jane. I thought he did a good job with it.
I'm trying to remember here. Let me just check here.
That was the one with him and John Travolta as Howard Saint.
Yeah. Okay. So that was one. That was one I didn't like.
Okay.
There we go.
And it actually featured my favorite wrestler, Kevin Nash, was the Russian. So.
Yep. Oh, okay. Side note. That's what I should have said. Yes, because that scene I loved so much. Maybe I should.
It's okay.
There were some things about the movie I didn't care for. I didn't care for how they redid
the origin story, maybe
pre-origin story. Yeah, sorry. But the Russian scene, loved that because it was such a homage to the comic. But my favorite homage, favorite one of that was a scene that I never ever thought I would have seen in the movie, and that was the popsicle scene.
Yeah.
Because when I saw that in the comic book and I read that, it was almost like verbatim in the movie, and I'm like, this is so good. The fact that anyone that didn't read Punisher wouldn't have known exactly what was happening of it. And there I am watching this going, this is incredible. This is like comic book pages brought to life. So, yeah, maybe there's a love-hate on that one for me.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's understandable. Once again, this is And I Quote with the guest of honor, Mike Moman, here on the show. Don't forget to like and share this to everyone you know. If you have any questions for him, let us know in those comments or the chat. And if you're joining us live on the replay, thank you so much for doing that. What about the Ray Stevenson Punisher Warzone film? Did you ever see that?
Yeah, I love the depiction of violence in it, and I think I love the attitude the character had. That made me kind of happy to see it depicted like that. I just realized that my nails are all painted. I let my daughter paint my nails a couple days ago, and I still haven't gotten it off.
Good Lord. But yeah, no, Punisher Warzone is uber violent. Ray Stevenson definitely soaks up the screen time as Frank Castle. You got, I forget the gentleman's name, but he was in The Wire and he plays Jigsaw. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is insanity times a billion. I thought the Thomas Jane one was violent. This one is like throwing extra ounces of violence into the mix for good measure because it's just part of the character. And a lot of people think that movie was more comic book accurate than The Punisher from 2004 was. So, which is fine. Hey, to each their own. There's so many different iterations. There's no right or wrong way to answer the question.
Yeah, and Jigsaw was always my favorite Punisher villain.
Oh, well, then makes perfect sense. What do you think of John Bernthal's iteration of Punisher on Netflix / what is it called? Disney Plus, # not a sponsor?
Yep. So I went through, I think, the first 6 or 7 issues of it, and it was a slow burn for me because I kind of wanted more, and it kept drawing me in. At the time, that was during a slight influx, kind of a moment in my life because it was right before I moved to Australia, where I got into it. So I was in school in Calgary and visiting family, and that's where I started watching it. Back to school, didn't have time, and then boom, one summer and off to Australia. So never got back into it. I just didn't have time when I was in law school. When I was in law school, I hardly had time to go to the bathroom. So.
Wow, that busy, well-traveled individual. By the way, Blaine Burke is here. They say Watchmen was definitely up there for me, Mike. Mike's book is so entertaining. A flirty space car. That alone is just worth the read, says Blaine.
Thanks, Blaine. Blaine is an amazing guy. He actually runs a convention at Grand Prix called G-Pop.
Really?
It's in.
Where is it?
I think it's about to hit its 7th one. And yeah, he's been ridiculously passionate about all the independent art, comics, books, stuff like that on the scene.
Fantastic. Blaine, if you ever want to be a guest on And I Quote, please let us know. We'll get you on the set, man.
Oh, he should be. That guy's awesome.
Yeah, let's get him on here. Blaine, feel free to click the links in the description below. There's a link to my Calendly where you can schedule a time and a day to be on the show. Let me know, or if you have other questions, you can send me a DM on social media. All the links are located down in the description below of this video and on our home pages as well. With that being said, man, Punisher this, TMNT that. I'm sensing a pattern here. Violence. Hey, man, it's like the song says, she blinded me with violence, instead of science. Sorry. I'm altering the words just a little bit because I've heard the song maybe once or twice before. Plus, someone made a, what do you call it? A meme about it. And I thought that was really funny because memes these days are quite humorous if you know in the right places to look. What made you decide to become an indie comic book writer or artist, Mike?
So, I started Oldsmobiles With Laser Guns when I was like 15. I wrote a punk song called Oldsmobiles With Laser Guns. Great song, by the way. I'm shocked it didn't reach the top 10. Joke. Then I did a couple pages as a comic, but when you're 15, you have no idea what the heck you're doing, and it was terrible. And with my severe ADHD, it didn't go anywhere from there. Then, as I got older, and I did more things and got more skills with everything in life. I think it was really my daughter. When she came into the picture, I really wanted to make sure that she had this great thing to see in me, and that I was always happy with the things I did. And I thought of how amazing it would be to get to share her father's artistic side with her and the things that I wish that I had done. And I'd always wished that I'd continued on with Oldsmobiles With Laser Guns. I revisited the old comic and thought a little bit about what I would want to do if I was to actually be serious about it. Once I figured out I needed to change to people that I could more relate to, and actually relate them to real people in my life. I even talked to the people that it's related to and made sure they were comfortable with me doing that, and they gave it all the flags, all the thumbs up and approval. And it was like the next day I learned how to do it. I learned how to write a comic book script. And I really wanted to have this project that I could feel like I had completed start to finish, and overcame any adversity that I used to have. I did it. And issue 1 was out. My partner, she was so supportive, ridiculously supportive for how much work it takes when you're first starting a comic, because you have to learn everything. So like there were hours and hours on end that I was out of the picture trying to figure out how to do this stuff. But she had this giant poster made. I got it right up there on my wall, and made a giant Oldsmobiles Laser Guns ice cream cake for me. Invited everyone over to celebrate the launch of this comic that I did. And every issue has taken me significantly less time than that first issue, so she no longer hates it. But so much support, and the fact that I saw that through, because I saw how comic books and the skill set and the diversity combined with the passion, because that's what you need when you are dealing with ADHD. That's the kind of reward that you need, your passion. But then being able to change to and from between the different aspects of it made it just perfect and fit in. And when it came to a hobby that I was able to do and complete, this was something that was amazing. It was just great, because I utilized so many different skills, and I got this final product out of it, and it felt so good. And it felt so good watching other people read it, laughing, enjoying it, despite the fact that the art was, in my mind, crap. Issue 1 was crap, but I love it, and I wouldn't want to change it for the world. Issue 2 significantly better. Issue 3, which just came out, I just fired you off a link for it. You look at issue 3 compared to issue 1, and you'd be like, this isn't the same guy. This is someone else took the same name, but this is not the same artist. I didn't know that you just got better. So that brought me into it, and I learned more about the events. Actually, G-Pop, I'd gone to my very first G-Pop that Blaine does while I was still in the middle of writing issue 1, and I'm like, I need to be here with my comic when it's done. And that was the first thing I did. I got to sell issue 1 there, and that's where I met Blaine, and he was just so supportive for an indie comic writer. It introduced me to a whole bunch of other guys. Turned out our local comic shop, Wonderland Toy and Hobby, one of the managers there, he was an incredible inspiration to me. That he did his own comics as well, and was so insightful, and when he can squeeze the conversation out of them, he just had so much great things to say and support there too. So I did get some good support.
Well, support systems are very important in this world and whatever industry that we are in. I mean, if it weren't for our good friend Case, who put together these backgrounds, thumbnails, and remastered the end-I-quote intro that you saw at the top of the program, you know,
Excuse me.
I mean, there's only so many things I can do on my own, but when you have a team behind you, you have other people who believe in what you're doing, you know, and I know this has been said before, but when you work together as a team, you can do much. So let's just put it that way, right? Because there's no and the word team, and this is a team effort, and you know. Sorry, I'm quoting another movie that probably only 5.5 people have seen. But anyway, if anyone's seen the Brendan Fraser film Bedazzled with Elizabeth Hurley, let me know. Watched that numerous times when I was younger. Anywho, what I'm going off on the rails here. What are some of the rewards for you about being an indie comic writer or artist? Anything else that stand out to you?
Like big rewards that I feel out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the biggest reward that I have out of being an independent artist, comic artist, is seeing my product being finished, my art. You know, I can't say it's just art because it is a product in itself. It's a comic book, but seeing something that I did, and maybe I'm a little bit different than some of the indie comic creators out there. I don't want to say or poo-poo on anyone. But I'm seeing a lot of comic creators out there now that they're comic writers, and they hire artists to do their work. I mean, I've got friends who do this exact same thing. Gosh, like I fully support my friend's comic Reptile. I love it to bits. But there's one thing I've told him over and over again. I said, start doing your own art. Learn how to draw. He's a great writer, but that's his thing, that's his lane, that's what he wants to do, and he has an artist that does what he wants it to look like. So great on him. But I think for me, I really wanted to do the writing, the drawing, the shading, the lettering. I wanted to do it all myself to see if I could do it, and I was happy with the product that wasn't amazing, that would never be on some major label, because the quality just isn't there. But it's something that I did. So at the end of the day, I get to say I did that. And I think that comes out when I'm at a convention, when I'm showing people my comic, the pride that I get in this work, from saying, yeah, I'm the writer, I'm the artist, I'm the letterer. The only thing I don't do is the editing, because apparently you have to be sober for that. But which it was fine. I actually found an editor for issue 1, same editor I've been working with for every issue. For the first issue, when I first hired him on, his name's Sean French. Who's got a lot of titles behind his back. He's just an awesome guy. The first agreement was, he doesn't get recognized as the editor, because he was just giving a run through. I'd already had everything done. It was just this last check over to make sure issue 1 was fine. Issue 2, I had him more involved, but he was still absolutely incredible. It wasn't until issue 3 where I said, hey, I haven't given you credit for editing yet. Can I have you in as an editor? He's like, hey, as long as I get a last bite of the cherry to make sure it's good before it's released, then yes. So issue 3 is the first time that he's in there, but he's been editing since issue 1. And I would recommend anyone always do that. But despite the editing, it's my baby, and I get to be proud of that, and I get to be proud of showing others that you can do this too. Don't stop yourself. So maybe I like the idea of being a little bit of a role model to people, not just my own daughter, but other people when they come to me at a convention, at Grand Con, at G-Pop. These are some of the local ones. Panel one in Calgary, which I've attended, which was really awesome. The community there. But when people tell me they want to get into comics, I can say, do it yourself. Nothing can stop you. You can do it, and that makes me feel good that I can do that for people and encourage them.
Absolutely so. Absolutely so. Once again, we are here with the guest of honor for this episode of And I Quote, Mike Moman. Don't forget to like and share this with everyone you know. If you have any questions for him, let us know in those comments. Let us know in the chat. Exactly. And if you're joining us live or on the replay, thank you so much for doing that. Flip side of the coin, though, biggest challenges about being an indie comic writer or artist.
Oh gosh, the overwhelming weight of awesomeness that I have to carry around with me every day. I'm joking. The biggest challenge is time, because you can't be doing this full time unless you're making a lot of money off of it. Which, if you're an independent comic artist, you're not making a lot of money off of it. So finding the right time, and it can hit you anywhere when your creative juices is flowing. The best purchase that I've made was getting myself a nice tablet to make sure that I can write or draw wherever I am. I was bringing it with me to work, and almost every day at lunch, for my lunch break, I would chow down while eating my lunch while working. So my entire hour of lunch was just spent drawing and working on pages. I was usually yanking about a page a day by being able to do that. So I started getting really fast at what I was doing. But I think that's probably the biggest challenge is making sure you have the time to do that, and not being your biggest critic, because you always are going to be there. There's times that I've written a joke, and there's actually one page that I love as an example in issue 2, where it was a single panel, and originally there was no dialogue at all in this panel. It's just them getting the Oldsmobile ready so that they can blast off into outer space. And it struck me that these guys are best friends. They're not going to be working in silence. They're going to be razzing each other. They're going to be chatting. They're going to be doing anything but paying attention to what they should be, and having to find the right things that are said to make it sound like these are real people talking to each other. That was a challenge in itself, I think.
Definitely. I can see that for sure. And thank you for sharing that with us. Any other pieces of advice you would offer to aspiring indie comic writers or artists out there?
Oh God, don't do it. Don't do it. No,
don't do it. You're pulling an opposite Shia LaBeouf's. Don't do it. Yeah,
if a person really wants to be an independent comic artist, they should do it, and they should do it themselves. Do it yourself until you really know the lane you need to be in, because there are, like, one of the, I'm shocked I didn't even think about this earlier, because this is a comic that never comes to my mind. Johnny the Homicidal Maniac. Do you remember that from the 90s?
No, it doesn't ring a bell. I'm sorry. No.
That's okay. It was very independent. I mean, it did pretty good for an independent comic out there. But
really? Was
the art really that good? No. And yet it managed to resonate with people. Mm-hmm. Exposium, like, gosh, those comics are terrible with art, and yet they're incredible. Don't just say you're not good at something so you're not going to try. Don't be afraid to suck. Sucking is one of the best things we can do at stuff in a non-sexual way, because if you can suck at something, that means you can get good at something. Everyone sucks at something the first time they do it. Gosh, my daughter's trying to snap her fingers right now. and she's terrible. She's no idea what she's doing, but she's going to be terrible at it until she's not. And you need to remember that that's you too. Writing a story, your first one, you're going to love it and think it's great until you read it again in 2 years and realize that it sucked, but you got better. You're going to realize your art, man. After you finish your first comic, you'll be so proud of it for about a day, and then say, "Man, this sucks." Yeah, it does. Good, because you learn so much by sucking, and you just keep sucking, and you're going to keep being happy that you're sucking because every time that you suck at something, you suck a little bit less. So that means like the greatest of greats at anything in this world are sucking still because they're going to be better the next day unless they age out and can't actually physically get better at it. Wayne Gretzky, for an example, because I'm Canadian, I got to use him. He just kept sucking less than other people, but at the height of his career, he was sucking because he could have been better the next day. Yeah, I guess that's a way to say it, even though he was the greatest. So just don't be afraid to suck.
By the way, for those of you watching or listening to this program, do yourselves a favor. Try not to play a drinking game every time Mike says the word suck or sucking, because otherwise you're just going to get too drunk. You're going to have one too many shots of whatever, and you're probably going to pass out on your floor in whatever environment that you're in. So please do not do that. We want you to remain safe, sound, and calm during these shows. And if you're enjoying this, hey, more power to you. But try not to play the drinking game every time Mike says the word suck. And by the way, when you say that word, it reminds me of the scene in a little indie film called Spaceballs, where the vacuum is going in the opposite direction because Lone Star is using the power of the Schwartz to turn the vacuum backwards. And there and before that, the Dark Helmet, President Scrooge, and they're saying suck. And I'm like, okay, this is going a few different directions that I really don't want to talk about. But anyway, Mike prefaced this by saying in a non-sexual way. So just be clear, we're not going at NC-17 territory on this show. We try to keep things family friendly around here. But anyway,
Really?
Well, we do our best, but hey, it happens sometimes. We all drop a curse word here and there, and it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
So can you say fuck shit, son of a bitch?
I mean, we're past the 2-minute mark, so yeah, FCC is not going to give me any fines. So it's cool, man. It's cool. Like in the movie Dazed Confused, you cool, man? Yeah, we're cool. All right, we're cool. But outside of the advice you would give to aspiring writers out there, I want to share something with you and with you who may be watching and listening to this program known as And I Quote right now. Oldsmobiles with Laser Guns. For someone who's unfamiliar with this title and you're stuck in an elevator, what's the elevator pitch for this bad boy?
Oh, yeah, that thing. Three best friends stumble upon an Oldsmobile. They get inside for fun, and it turns out it is a super high-powered spaceship that blasts them into outer space. Now they're trapped trying to get back home, and they get themselves caught in the middle of a intergalactic civil war.
Intergalactic Civil War.
Wasn't that in
the opening crawl of a little war? I was going to say, wasn't that in the opening crawl of a little film that blew everybody's mind in 1977?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. Some ship flying overhead and everyone's mind burst open. Like, oh my gosh, I've never seen a ship fly over our heads like that before. In a little film called the Star Wars. It's only been
it is a space opera, but it's just a civil war that they're stuck in the middle of.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify because you mentioned Intergalactic Civil War and like, wait a minute, wasn't that in the opening crawl?
Yeah, no, it's all in one system. They're just in the Varandian system with us.
Thank you. I was wondering where this was going because I'm thinking, wait a minute, is he crossing over with another property that's been around for 50 years? Am I missing something? Yeah. Sorry, I got a little confused there. With that being said, Oldsmobiles.
Did you talk about Star Wars in the comic though?
Okay, hey, fair enough. Just out of curiosity, what's your favorite Star Wars movie?
Empire.
That's 99.9999999% of the population always says Empire. And I'm fine with that. Listen, I've seen the movie, so I know what they're talking about because it's a great film. I'm not going to dispute that. Found someone you have, I would say. Anyway, who doesn't like a good Yoda-ism once in a blue moon? Honestly. Favorite, all right, let's dive into this just a little bit before we segue into our next friendly neighborhood question. Favorite moment in Empire Strikes Back. Favorite scene in Empire Strikes Back.
Ooh.
Anything? It's a bunch of good ones in there.
No, that one's too cheesy. The I love you scene.
Okay, I know. Anyway,
But it's so cheesy, but it's so good.
it is, isn't it?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
Han's character wrapped up in one line.
Yeah, 2 words as well. So it works. It works. Favorite Star Wars character? Is it Han Solo?
I think now as an adult, it's Han. But as a kid,
It was Leia.
no.
Leia, you can say it if you want. It's okay.
No. As a kid, I think it was Chewie.
It was Chewie.
Yeah, it was Chewie as a kid, but as an adult, it's Han.
Will someone get this big walking carpet out of my way? No. By the way, Mike, no reward is worth this. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I've seen that trilogy one too many times. I'm just going to point that out. By the way, fun fact for those of you watching or listening to And I Quote at home, Empire Strikes Back turns 45 next year, Mike.
I know.
Fun fact. Exactly. See, you just dropped another Star Wars at the same Star Wars line we were just talking about. Turns 45. So you may want to tune into our episode of Movie Watch Along where you're going to be watching us watch the movie, and you can watch it along with us.
It's really funny because I was watching one of your interviews yesterday, and you mentioned that Star Wars was about to turn
What, the Empire
40.
one?
No. Star Wars was what? No, wait. No, you weren't talking about. Oh, never mind. Sorry.
Now I'm wondering.
You were
what that
mentioning
was.
the age of another movie at the time, and I was you just kind of gave me a little bit of
Nostalgia.
deja vu. It was like deja vu all over again.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's okay. Just to catch everybody up, for those of you who are wondering, movie watch along for the next season, Empire Strikes Back turns 45. We're going to do one for that. Force Awakens turns 10 next year. We're going to be doing one for that. I freaking love Force Awakens. I don't care what anyone says. But it does have its fair share of fans. Let's be perfectly honest, because that was an entry point for the new generation of fans. Let's see. Another movie that we mentioned the last couple of weeks, we know that Tremors is turning 35 next year. TMNT is turning 35 next year. The Breakfast Club turns 40. Back to the Future turns 40. Right? You got Back to the Future Part 3 turning 35. So there's, what was the other one? Batman Begins turns 20. I can't believe I'm saying that. Batman Forever turns 30. So, yeah, there's a lot going on next year in the new season of Movie Watch Along. Mike, you may want to tune in for these things. I mean, I'm sure some of these movies may land with you. I don't know.
Oh, gosh. You're pretty much talking about my movie library when I was a kid.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. That
was my blockbuster go.
Exactly. So it's whatever works, right? Whatever works. With Oldsmobiles with Laser Guns, have there been any special memories for you from being at conventions, whether you're there as a vendor or there as an attendee?
The people that I meet is incredible when you go to one of these conventions. I didn't know what to expect. I'm meeting vendors from all walks of life and artistic creators that are all over the map. And the art, the talent that I'm seeing of these people has always been incredible. And then the support, I wasn't too sure what that was going to be like. I have a background with a lot of sales and with broadcasting, so I had no problem with just opening up and telling people about my product, about my comics, and the comments that I was getting from other vendors, just, oh, I love hearing your pitch. I love hearing about your comic. Now I got to buy your comic just because I'm listening to you talk about your comic to other people, and that just felt so good. I ended up giving comics to so many of the vendors just because of how excited they became for my comic. And then when I'd go around and look at their booths, I would just be amazed at the amount of talent that some of these people have. And that in itself is a tremendous memory for me. My partner and daughter, they would come to these conventions as well. My daughter Ruby, she'd dress up in a Spider-Man costume quite often and run around pretending she's Spider-Man. So I would call her Spider Ruby. And I end up having to chase her, and I think that's probably my best memories, is having to chase Spider Ruby around a convention floor, which has got to look incredible to people watching this little 3-year-old running around in a full Spider-Man costume. followed by her dad, big fat dad chasing after her. Some of my better memories. Oh, and I'm at this video game tournament, and I'm looking at some of the random art, and I'm looking at this. I'm like, is that Puppet Master? The guy just stops. Puppet Master. We just start going on a rant about the whole series of the Puppet Master movies that he's seen, and I think he's in his 20s, so he's seen all these old Bloomin' production movies of Puppet Master back from the heyday of bad horror movies, and I ended up giving him my comics. He gave me every single thing Puppet Master. He had all the stickers, keychain, everything. He's like, these don't sell anyways. Here, take them. Just because he found someone else that loved them. I think he was significantly ahead of his time. Had he gone to a horror convention back in the 90s, he would have been doing great, but I don't think he was born then. So, things like that really, really get to stand out.
That is some awesome, spectacular stuff, as one might say, here on set. And once again, we are here on, and I quote, with the guest of honor, Mike Moman of Oldsmobiles with Laser Guns, because apparently vehicles are powered, have weapons on them now. An indie comic style, at any rate. And if you like what you see here, don't forget to like and share it. And if you're watching us live on the replay, thank you for doing that. If you have any questions for Mike, let us know in those comments. Let us know in the chat. Boys, it's been a great conversation. It's been enlightening, to say the least. And these questions are brought to you by our good friends at poddex.com. So Poddex wants to know, Mike, would you choose what is known as a shorter lifespan and be super rich, or a longer life and somewhat poor?
What is rich?
I don't know. Maybe the 1%. Maybe the 90. I don't know. Living in a mansion in Beverly Hills. Maybe, I don't know.
They can go to HE double hockey sticks for all I care, because life is the greatest thing ever. It's one thing that money can't buy, and experience is something money can't buy. Are you really going to have that much better of an experience because you get to go into outer space for 2 or 3 minutes? Whoop-de-friggin' do. I can see a picture of that. I don't think that's going to be a life-changing moment for me, but I'm sure the view would be great, and you'd get to feel so good about yourself for being wealthy. I'm not going to spend my life chasing that. I'm going to let money come to me as I see fit, but I would much rather get more time to spend with the people that I care about, more time doing things that make me happy, and more time learning things. I don't waste my time with jobs that I'm unhappy with. For some part, you've got to, and you got to pay the bills. But I think a little bit of time is worth way more than a lot of money.
Well, fair enough. By the way, I haven't heard that expression HE hockey sticks in a very long time. So thank you for bringing that back to today's vernacular. Blaine has a wonderful question for us. He says, where did the curse word tell come from? Which I didn't know I didn't know tell was a curse word, Blaine. Oh, I think you're muted here, buddy. All of a sudden, I can't hear you. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It's all right. Sorry.
Am I back?
There you are.
Perfect. My headset turned itself off. I don't know why. I thought I was going to have to answer that with interpretive dance.
No, but Blaine is asking, where did the curse word tell come from is the question.
Okay, so if you read the comic book, there isn't any swearing at all. All the swearing is the word tell. So instead of, what the hell, it's what the tell, and things like that. In the world of Oldsmobiles with Laser Guns, which gets revealed in a future issue, swearing is all... Well, when writing it, I decided that swearing needed to exist, but I didn't want to make it a book that had a swearing issue with the comic, but I also didn't want to make it lame. But I needed to realize that when you're in a different country, they swear differently, not just in context, but in syntax. So French cursing is all religious based. Oh, tabernacle. You basically translate that into English. It's not a swear. Oh, the church. Okay. But in French, that's a swear. So, in Oldsmobiles with Laser Guns, they are um, in a different system, and their swearing is all inspired by the French. It is all religious based swearing, but their religion is not the same. In Oldsmobiles with Laser Guns, um, they are all swearing to the god Tel, who is the god of space and time. So their swearing is all Tel. Tel smite it instead of God damn it. What the tell. And that's telling awesome. Stuff like that. So all the swearing is purely religious based off this god whose name is Tel. Who the characters actually eventually get to meet. Sorry, a little bit of a spoiler for the future, but they will get to meet the god of space and time, Tel.
Oh my.
The mighty and powerful Tel.
As one might say. Fair enough. Another interesting question from our good friends over here at Poddex. They want to know, what is the best thing to happen to you this year of 2024?
It's not comic book related. I was recently let go from my job.
Oh my.
Oh no! Yeah, it was absolutely. It put me in a terrible rut. It was terrible. Put me in a bad financial situation. But I didn't let that break my stride. Ain't nobody gonna slow me down. Oh no! I got to keep on moving. Issue 3 got printed just as that had been happening. I did my Kickstarter successfully, and I just finished getting those out because Canada Post here in Canada was on strike. They just came back, so I still got those out. And given this termination of my position at work, it gave me the opportunity to finish my tests to get into law in Canada, because I got my law degree when I was living in Australia. So now I could get those all completed now that I had lost my job. And that's going to be very much a 180 in terms of personal finances, going from jobs that I was satisfied with my level of experience and education, and instead get to go into the legal field, which I'm trained for. So that's going to be a significant lifestyle change for maybe financial change, but I don't think we're about to change our lifestyle one bit, because we're not like that. So that's actually a really positive thing that happened from something that most people see as being a terrible, bad, nasty thing that most people would lose all personal self well-being over. Something that was bad was a big win for me. Now that my daughter's older, I can focus on doing that. And so things get a change. And during this time when I'm gearing up to getting back into law, I have this time to get issue 4 of my comic finished, doing some extra writing on the side, and that script is almost done, so I can get to start drawing soon.
There you go. Mike Moman, part of the legal, what is it? The criminal justice system. These are his stories. Ding, ding. I'm just sorry. Grew up watching that show many, many times over, and it's been around for so many decades upon decades, and it's still going.
My partner's obsessed with SVU.
That's what I'm saying. Like, SVU is still going, which, by the way, that's cracking on 30 years almost, which is ridiculous that Mariska Hargitay has been starring in the same show for 30 years. Not many people can say that. Hardly any.
Yeah. So I can talk like legal stuff with her, and she gets it just because of that show.
Just because of that bloody show, SVU, which I started watching it back in season 5, back in 2003, 2004. So I've seen my fair share of Law and Order, whether it's the original The Mothership, whether it's SVU, Criminal Intent, Trial by Jury, which lasted 1 minute, Law and Order Los Angeles, which only lasted 1 minute, which I actually really enjoyed. Law and Order LA, because you had Skeet Ulrich, Terrence Howard, Alfred Molina. You had Alana de la Garza crossing over from The Mothership over to LA, which I thought was great because she brought the original audience over with her to a certain degree. And Alana de la Garza is one of the most beautiful women in the world. # those are the facts of this case, and they are undisputed. So if you understood where I was going with that, Mike, if you ever seen a little indie film called A Few Good Men, you know where I'm going. So 6 Degrees of Separation, 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. Get with it, son. It's great stuff. And by the way, with all due respect, I really do enjoy watching legal dramas, whether it's a TV series or a movie. I think they're great. I think they're fantastic. You get a really good kick out of them. Plus, I mean, one of the OG legal dramas was 12 Angry Men. So, I mean, come on, let's.
Oh, I recently watched that again.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Which is great. It's a great film. So,
Yeah, I like the original way better than the Pauly Shore version.
Exactly. let's not. No. We're not going to talk about that. Not on this program. Let it go. Let it go, guys. Let it go. In the words of our friendly neighborhood stormtroopers, move along. Move along, Mike. Move along. If you were the captain of a ship, what would you call it? What would you call the ship?
If I was the captain of a ship?
Yeah, it could be any ship. Starship, regular ship, a cruise ship, anything. What do you think?
After you.
Really?
Yeah, then I could tell everyone I named my ship after you.
Oh, so you want me to tell? Are you saying you want me to say what I would name my ship?
No, I would literally name my ship after you.
Oh, got it. All right, now it all starts to make sense. I'm sorry, I got a little confused there. Wow. Okay. Extra points for originality here on this set. I'm just going to give Mike Moman the extra credit that he so rightfully deserves. Great stuff with that. After you. Excuse me? No, after you. I'm like, okay, fine, just go. Anyway,
go for a ride on my ship. I named it after you.
Yeah, exactly.
Credit though. That's not my joke. That's an old Mad Magazine joke. Or is it cracked? One of the two. Yeah,
because I haven't read it personally, but I've seen promos for it, or I've seen like back issues of it somewhere in different places around the world. So what exactly, because Poddex is curious, they want to know what gives you what are known as butterflies in your stomach. And this could be anything. Getting ready to go to a convention, putting together the next issue, could be anything.
So I've been in broadcasting for over 10 years. So I guess as a radio broadcaster, jumping on the mic for thousands of people. I on a whim, Big and Rich was playing in town. I happened to be there, and oh, hey Mike, we forgot to get an MC. Would you mind announcing? So I had to jump up in front of tens of thousands of people and introduce them to the city. I got to the highlight of my broadcasting career was getting to introduce Chris Cornell to the audience, and that was just one of the last true rock stars of the world, and I got to be on stage with him, share the stage with him. That was just,
oh my goodness.
So things like going to a convention, that doesn't scare me. That doesn't give me butterflies. I can't think of since in the last 20 years, I don't think there's been many things that do that to me. Because I know that I'm not scared. I know that I'm excited. I know that when I have those feelings, I just tell myself, Mike, you're not afraid. You're excited. And I think that's, anyone can use that. If you feel that you're afraid and you have butterflies in your stomach, remind yourself that you're not. Yeah, you're about to go into a job interview and you've got those butterflies that are, you're not scared. You are excited. You're excited to get to showcase how awesome you are to these people. You're excited that you're going to go up on stage in front of these people and do amazing. And you screw up because you're overly excited, not because you're nervous. And yeah, I think those butterfly feelings, I think because I've gotten so good at letting them subside that I don't feel there's many things that really give me that anymore.
Okay, all right. Just out of curiosity though, because Chris Cornell, rest in peace, great artist, great singer. There's no doubt about it. Just between these two songs that I'm familiar with, because I know there's a lot of others out there by Soundgarden. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, Temple of the Dog. Don't forget about that.
Exactly. Well, there's that one, but I'm just curious. So between these two that I know of personally, which one do you think is the better of these two? You Know My Name, the theme song for Casino Royale that Chris Cornell did in 2006 for Daniel Craig's first run as his first film as Bond, or We Live to Rise from Marvel's The Avengers 2012, which was Soundgarden. I don't think it was just Chris. I think it was the whole band at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Like the sun, we live to rise. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I think 2006 I'm going to give more credit to, because that was also the tour that I got to introduce him off of.
Ooh. Dude, that's pretty...
I
my
got
language, but that's pretty badass, Mike. That's badass. You got to introduce Chris Cornell.
You have no idea. So here's a really great story about that I'm going to share with you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Introducing Chris Cornell was not to a giant stadium either. So this is right off of the Casino Royale world tour that he did. He just finished doing sold out tours throughout Europe, and he was coming to the United States Canadian side of this tour. He had a sold out stadium show in Calgary, sold out stadium show in Edmonton. Then he had a sold out stadium show in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan coming up. In between there, he had like 3 or 4 days, and his concert promoter thought, hey, you know what? Let's see if we can get him in on another show in a town in between there, another city in between. So they had to, they were looking for towns with population. They were looking for event centers that could hold it. Stadiums, there was no stadiums in there because this is Canada and we are a huge country with not a huge population. So you can be driving 5 hours before you're hitting the next city, or plus the more north you get. They found that you can actually know the size of this town by its name, Bonnyville, Alberta. I was on the radio in Bonnyville at the time it was Cool 101.3. Now it's Hot 101.3 because of global warming. And in this small town of Bonnyville with Cold Lake next to it that had a military base, like this is a small sliver. And I had to announce on the radio that Chris Cornell was going to be there. And most people thought it was a joke. Most people there only knew what country music was, but they thought it was a joke. There's no way that Chris Cornell, Chris Cornell is probably a cover act, they think, is going to be playing in Bonnyville. So I think that they only had like 300 or 400 people that showed up to see Chris Cornell at Bonnyville at their brand new event center. I was talking to the techs as they were coming in, and you know, when you're the radio guy, one of the sponsors, and the MC, you get full access to everywhere. And the guys are like, yeah, we couldn't even fit in the whole stage show. This is like a third, maybe a quarter of everything. So the full stage show is cut down significantly. And people from all over Canada that couldn't get tickets to Chris Cornell saw this. And I remember I saw some people that were from southern Alberta. They drove 12 hours to come to Bonnyville and got a hotel, got one of these tickets in hopes that it genuinely was true. They didn't believe that was really him. They thought it was a hoax, but they thought because they weren't able to get any other tickets, they did that just in hopes to see him. I was talking to him and they're like, I can't believe this is actually going to be Chris Cornell. I'm like, yeah. How do you think I feel about this? So anyways, he performed. He did an amazing job. One of the DJs from the competitive station, he was stage diving, or no, just crowd surfing, not even stage diving. He was crowd surfing. Security kicked him out. Chris Cornell stopped and was like, hey, I'm not going to play anymore until you bring him back in. You took out half my audience from kicking out one guy. And like everyone got to shake Chris Cornell's hand there. Everyone got to be close to Chris Cornell because there were so few people at this show. And I imagine the concert promoter probably got fired after that one. But the few people in Bonnyville, they got the show of a lifetime.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Oh, man, that's awesome. Thank you.
That would have been like going to Taylor Swift in buttfuck nowhere, and no one believed it was Taylor Swift, and there was only 200 people there.
That's
That's today's equivalent, I think.
yeah. And what is it? Taylor Swift is selling out arenas all over the world, which is insane, by the way. And then there's the whole Ticketmaster scandal. So well done, guys. That happened. But anyway, Chris Cornell, did you have a chance to like have a really? Did you have a conversation with Chris? And if so, what was that conversation like, if any? Or was it just,
No, I wish.
or was it two ships just passing in the night?
Two ships. Yep. Sometimes, yeah, it was two lines that just crossed their path,
Oh,
not two lines that were next to each other for any length of time.
Oh, well, that's cool that you still got to introduce him or, see him or whatever the case may have been. That's great stuff. And the You Know My Name is a great song. If anyone's not familiar with it, check it out. It's great. Casino Royale. A lot of people have argued that Casino Royale is, of all 25 Bond films, it is the best. A lot of people have said it's their number one. Some people say it's their number two. Some people say it's in their top three. And I have no problem with that because I remember going to the theater and seeing it and I thought, oh my gosh. And the funny thing is that the director of Casino Royale is the same guy who directed GoldenEye. So this guy, Martin Campbell, has rebooted James Bond successfully, not just once with Pierce Brosnan back in 95's GoldenEye, which turns 30 next year, believe it or not. 2 years later, comes back and does it all over again with Casino Royale and Daniel Craig. So it's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, Mike. It really is. So no doubt about that, as he's writing his next great comic book in the backstage of his studio. So with the, I'm sorry, we hear people banging around the keyboard back there. No, not in that way.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. It happens. But no, it's good stuff. Chris Cornell, you introduced him, all that kind of jazz in Bonneville, in that neck of the woods. Fantastic stuff, man. Yeah, working in radio and broadcasting definitely has its upsides. It has its moments, and it may or may not have its perks. So there is that. Let's call a spade a spade. Do want to take this opportunity to say thank you to Mike Moman of Oldsmobiles with Laser Guns. I can't believe I just said that, but it's true. There's an actual title and an actual successful comic book title at that. Out there in the world that's selling like hotcakes. So, Mike, if someone wants to know more about you, purchase copies of your comic books, maybe learn about some of your upcoming appearances you may or may not have planned for 2025, where can they follow you on social media, my good friend?
Yeah, on social media, it's just Oldsmobiles with Laser Guns. On would be Threads, Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook. I'm going to be getting off X altogether because, that's just a thing. And of course, on the website, oldsmobilescomic.com for all the information there. Upcoming things, I think that we have another G-Pop coming up, and then I'm going to be going over to Prince George for Northern Fan Con. I'm going to be going up to Northwest Territories for an awesome convention they've got going up there, which I was very shocked to find out about, but I'm looking forward to that. Then Grand Con coming up in September. These are all local in the Alberta area, and I'm hoping that things will be changing around a little bit, and I'll get to go stateside, all depending on things that happen there in the near future, because I realize for me the best thing that I have is meeting people at these other conventions and getting to shake hands, kiss babies, that kind of thing, and getting comics in people's faces, because the people that I meet at these cons have been absolutely incredible, and the things that I learn from people that have been purchasing my comics and enjoying them. And I just love that experience and being part of their entertainment every day.
Rock on, good sir. Thank you so much for being with us. Do greatly appreciate it. I'm going to be talking to you here again momentarily, so stick around. Don't go anywhere, Mike. We're going to be talking to you here again in a moment or two. My name is Ryan of And I Quote Channel. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at RyanRPM5. Feel free to follow us across all forms of social media, simply at And I Quote Channel. Links to where you can follow Mike Moman and myself are located in the description down below. So make sure you check that out. We are on the road again to 5,000 subscribers, hopefully before the end of the year. Once we do, we're going to reach 5,000 subscribers. We're going to throw a great big live stream celebration that will include returning favorites, such as our new best friend from Canada, Mike Moman, may be joining us. That's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have special giveaways that you, our incredible viewers / subscribers, going to be eligible to win. Help us reach 5,000 subscribers before the end of 2024. Also, the seasons are changing. We got merch. Links are in our social media bios. We have a Redbubble store where you can buy shirts, hoodies, stickers to add to your water bottles, or we also have coffee mugs available to you. We have other pieces of merch that I think you're really going to enjoy. So check those out. Links are in the description or in our social media bios. And it's on sale now on our Redbubble store. Yay! So fantastic stuff. So definitely check that out. We really, really greatly appreciate it. This has been a great year and a great season of And I Quote thus far. Don't worry, we're not quite done with And I Quote for 2024 just yet. So stay tuned. More to come. And I Quote is on Saturdays, 12 p.m. EST. Meeting of Fandom is the first Friday of each month on Fridays at 7 p.m. EST. Movie watch-alongs are second, third, and fourth Fridays of every month at 7 p.m. EST. So make sure you tune in for that. We got lots of special programming planned for the new year of 2025 that is right around that corner. It's right around that itty-bitty little corner. So stay tuned. More to come. Once again, thank you for joining us for this episode of And I Quote. Do not forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, ring the bell to be notified when our videos go up or they go live. And remember, life is better when supporting indie creators from all over the world. Take a look.
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now, it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasmafire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasmafire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
Hey guys, you're watching Ryan's channel, and I quote. New channel, I just wanted to send a special shout out that you guys will continue to embrace the nerd within. This is Tracy Lynn Cruz, in case you don't know, Ashley from Power Rangers in Space and Power Rangers Turbo. I just want to let you know, thank you so much for all of your support. Ryan's amazing, and I quote your channel, amazing. You guys keep on morphing and embrace the nerd within.
Good morning. Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.